Greetings from still chilly London. Still haven't really had much in the way of spring. But what we do have is a perfume that I've had for a while and I completely forgot to put in my spring perfumes video. This is one of my early videos on my channel when I got Something Blue. This is by Oscar de la Renta. This is a perfume that you can still get. I'm not sure it's really in proper production anymore, but certainly in the UK you can still get this where I got it from for pretty much the same price, which is about £15 from Direct Cosmetics for 100ml. It doesn't come in a box or anything. I think these are unboxed. I don't think they're testers, but this is such a good early spring, a really good transitional fragrance because it's quite strong and it's quite sweet, but it's also green and it's also floral. It's quite unusual, but the thing that made me think about it was when I did my Lolita Lempicka house review and I was talking about their Mon Petit, which is a linden blossom perfume. So linden blossom and angelica, I think, I'm not sure if they're exactly the same thing, but they're certainly quite similar. And I've sort of realised that I kind of enjoy that note quite a lot. I find it weirdly comforting, which is why I liked the Karl Lagerfeld one last week. It's why I love Obsession Night. And I really like Mon Petit, and this is very pretty. I kind of forget about it because when I sniff it from the bottle, I'm always like, yeah, am I in the mood to wear that? I'm not sure. And then I spray it on and I'm like, oh, yeah, it's so pretty. So the notes in Something Blue are lime blossom, i.e. linden blossom. I think we call it linden blossom in the UK. Neroli, bergamot and mandarin orange in the top. Middle notes are lily of the valley, stephanotis, narcissus and lychee in the middle. Base notes are white musk, ambrette, cashmere wood, ambergris and bourbon vanilla. Now, I think that there is a slight, the vanilla comes through quite a lot. When you first spray this, it's very green. You get a lot of the neroli and the bergamot. And then it dries down. You get more of a kind of bouquet of flowers. But I find the linden blossom is really strong in this. It is musky. I think I don't really sense a huge amount of wood here. But the vanilla comes through quite strong. It's not a perfumey vanilla. And it just goes really nicely in the same way that the vanilla in the base of Obsession Night is really pretty. Obsession Night and Something Blue are actually not that dissimilar, but Something Blue smells more spring-like. It smells even more flowery. It's supposed to be for a wedding, and it does smell like a wedding. I think the ambergris gives it an ever so slight bit of saltiness, which I think really works. So this bottle, the lid is here, and then it is a bit silly, but you get a ring with it. So this is clearly designed for weddings, right? And it's a really nice coloured juice. It's an absolute bargain. It lasts for quite a long time, this one. It's pretty good quality, I would say. I think, is this an eau de parfum? Let's see if it's got writing. Yes, it is an eau de parfum. So 100ml for 15 quid for quite a long lasting, good quality springtime eau de parfum. I would say it's a bit of a bargain, and I think it's a really pretty bottle as well. So I wore that one this week and I really enjoyed it, and I felt very floral and very pretty in that. So then what are we doing? Oh yeah, so I am gearing up to do loads of videos on the Lush perfumes. I've been kind of slowly acquiring stuff. I managed to, when it arrives, I actually managed to get a bundle on eBay of some of the more expensive black label stuff from Lush, which I've been testing and I've got loads of notes on, but I wouldn't otherwise have been able to show you the bottles. So I've got that coming up, and I think I've just been thinking about Lush, because of that. So I haven't really been talking about them a huge amount in my videos, but I have actually been behind the scenes kind of gearing up to do a lot of Lush stuff, because there's not a huge amount of stuff online on YouTube about the actual perfumes. So one of the ones that I was just wearing this week was Lush the Comforter. Now this is actually a body spray. As you can see, I have decanted it into its own little bottle. They normally come in the big sprayers. If I wear them on my body, I don't really like using those sprayers. I like using those to spray them on bedclothes and things like that. It's really reflecting, so I'm going to have to put it in that kind of position. So yeah, so basically I either decant everything I've got left, which is what I did with this one, and I took the empty bottle back to Lush, because you get, if you didn't know, if you take your empties cleaned back to Lush for them to recycle, you get 50p off for every item with your next purchase. So you'll see later, I actually bought a perfume I've been wanting for ages, and I got, I think, £3 off because I had a few empties to take back. So anyway, these are just bottles from Shein. They're like super cheap. They're really decent quality. They might have a few chips or whatever on them, but really sturdy. The Comforter is a beautiful blackcurrant body spray. It is one that when you first spray it, smells like fizzy Ribena. The stuff you used to get in the cans before Ribena changed and started using fake sugar. That's how sugary this is. It's really beautiful. The notes are not always very helpful, so if I look at the actual ingredients, as is always best with Lush perfumes, they've got bergamot oil, they've got cassis absolute, they've got cypress oil, they've got some kind of lemon, and some general citruses. So it's blackcurrant, cypress oil, but there is the dry down in this, even though it doesn't list any vanilla, smells like vanilla to me. I always think that this starts off with a really sherbety, crazy blackcurranty, delicious kind of sweety, fizzy drink smell. And then the more it dries down, the more it smells a little bit like there's a vanilla base. So it's not my favourite from Lush, but I do sometimes just crave it because I like that blackcurrant. Yeah, so I wore that one this week. I think that was just an evening one. And then at the weekend, this is also, I've been going back to some of my really early perfume reviews on YouTube. So this is Kim Kardashian Fleur Fatale. Now, this right here is a perfume that I had a bigger bottle of, and I was like, I don't know how I feel about this one. I don't think I'm really going to wear it. And even, I think I had a 50ml, but it was huge. The bottle was huge. So I actually sold that in a rose perfume bundle after I'd reviewed it. And then I rebought a smaller bottle from Direct Cosmetics because they have them for, I think it's literally $3.99 for 30ml. Now, you might, if you're watching me, the chances are you probably watch Sarah Mays as well. She's one of my favourite perfume YouTubers. She absolutely loves Stella by Stella McCartney, the discontinued rose perfume. She got this one quite recently and she really loves it. And she was saying she doesn't think it gets compared to Stella all the time, and she doesn't think it smells like Stella. I, on the other hand, I do think that this smells like Stella. I don't think it smells like exactly like Stella. I would describe this as more, it kind of smells like a summer flanker of Stella, in that, if I read you the notes, the top notes, bergamot, blackcurrant and violet. The middle notes are tea rose, peony and iris. The base notes are white musk, sandalwood and amber. Now, it has that same kind of woody base that you get in Stella. It's got a very similar style of rose, I would say. It's got a very similar style of peony. It's got the citrus in the top. And then it's got this, and it's got the amber. It's got like it's the perfect level of sweetness and dryness for a rose perfume. I find often with rose perfumes they're either too sharp, or they're too dry, or they are too sweet. I find it so hard to find a really genuinely wearable rose that pretty much smells like a bouquet of flowers, like that is dominant in the rose. Stella to me, and I have the original formulation of that. I haven't actually smelt the reformulation, so I can't comment on that. But I have the original formulation before it was changed of Stella, and that is a darker perfume, definitely. It's definitely got a vibe where for some reason you sort of know it's a dark bottle. Like you can tell it's a kind of slightly darker, deeper rose. This is a lighter, and honestly, this one is no good in cold weather. If you spray this in cold weather, you're going to think it smells rubbish, cheap. If you spray it in warm weather, it's like such a pretty smell. It's a really nice rose. I got this one recently again because when I was doing my rose video, I really was annoyed that I didn't still have this, that I hadn't kept it. Because when I tested it again in warm weather, I was like, oh my God, it's so much better in warm weather. But again, I didn't really want to have that massive bottle. There's no way I needed it, and I didn't really have anywhere to store it when it's that huge. So I was so happy to get this little one. Unfortunately, I'd already filmed my rose video way before it arrived. But I mean, I think you can't go wrong with this if you like rose. And I have smelt loads of rose perfumes. I've actually got another one that I got after doing my rose perfumes that I just wanted to try out. It's so sharp. It's really screechy. This is perfect. It's just light, pretty. But yeah, only wear it in warm weather. I had it on in the morning and it was just so pretty. And then one of my work days. Hugo Woman. I think this is literally called Hugo Woman Eau de Parfum. Yeah, let's have a look. Hugo Woman Eau de Parfum. Yes, indeed. So this is a really good office scent. It's a really pretty, sweet, but quite unusual, slightly aromatic, kind of just yummy, relatively light, everyday wear, you know? I'm pretty sure, and I need to actually go back and spray it on my skin again, but I am, after wearing this again this week, I'm quite sure that the electric rhubarb from, what's it called? I am and are a lot, I do realise that. I'm just normally talking on the fly. Floral Street. The Floral Street one I tested that I actually really liked, called Electric Rhubarb. I was thinking when I sprayed it, it reminds me of something, and I did say at the time, is it Hugo Woman Eau de Parfum? I think it might be that. And wearing it, I think that's what it smells like. I think that perfume reminds me of this one. So I need to spray that on my skin again when I next get the chance to go to John Lewis, and then I'll come home and I'll be able to compare the two because I didn't get around to it last time. But the notes in Hugo Woman Eau de Parfum are top notes of bosenberry, Italian mandarin and grass. Middle notes of plum, tea, jasmine and iris. Base notes sandalwood, amber and cedar. And I definitely get the sandalwood. I can sense a little bit of the tea. The grass gives it a greenness. The bosenberry is really obvious in this. I can also smell jasmine, but it's not a jasmine that makes me feel like queasy or anything. And the I don't know how to really explain this one. It's an unusual smell. It does smell like it's from the 90s, but at the same time, it's not like vintage, if you see what I mean. It doesn't smell old-fashioned, but because I know a lot of perfumes from the 90s because I'm in my 40s, I know that this smells like a 90s perfume. This is also the perfume, I think, or the original version of this before this was changed. There used to be a Hugo Woman that came in a bottle that had like a lid that kind of looked like a hip flask or something. It's got totally different notes, but they do still get compared. I do wonder if this is the thing that reminds me of Stella Pop, because there is something about this perfume, the green notes in it, and particularly the sandalwood in it, and then the kind of slight fruitiness. There's something in this that gives me a slight, tiny vibe of Stella Pop. So anyway, I'll stop going on, but it's a great perfume. I think it's really easy to wear. The other thing to say about this, when you first spray it, you can't really smell much. It seems very, very light. Don't overspray it. It takes a little while to develop and it will get much stronger on your skin. This lasts on me as a very subtle scent bubble all day. I reckon I get on my skin about 8 hours out of this before I would consider respraying it. I don't know what it is. Yeah, I'm like, when I first spray it, I'm like, oh, I forget how light this is. And then I go out of the house and it just gets stronger and stronger and stronger. So yeah, don't overspray that one, I would say, unless you like a super strong perfume. Oh, it's time for it again, and I love it so much. This is Vera Wang Embrace, and it's this one's called Marigold and Gardenia. It's just lovely. Just trying to position all my stuff so you can see it just a little bit for later. The Embrace range is a range that I like quite a lot. I particularly love this one, and I absolutely love the lavender. I think it's called lavender and French vanilla or something. And I love the periwinkle and iris as well. This one though, this is such an easy reach for me, but it is quite a strange perfume, but I love it. There is something weirdly plasticky about it, but I think that is because of the cardamom. I find that cardamom often is like a super plasticky smell in perfumes, and it's something that I kind of like. It smells like doll's heads to me. I don't know why. So the top notes in this particular one, even though it's called melon, it's called Marigold and Gardenia, I always think of it as melon and marigold, because the top notes are melon and mango, middle notes are marigold, gardenia and orange blossom, base notes are cardamom, musk, sandalwood and cedar. It's actually way sweeter than those notes might suggest it would be, and I feel like I get a lot of melon with this. I get a lot of marigold. I love it. I love it. It's a little bit musky. I don't really get cedar, but I get a lot of delicious sandalwood. The cardamom gives it that slightly weird doll's heady plasticky smell, but the sweetness I suspect is coming from that mango, and I think that the mango almost tastes like smells like a mango candy or something, like a mango flavoured something that's full of sugar. That's the kind of vibe that I get from that one. I think it's absolutely yummy. It's really fun to wear. I mean, I just love it. I have backups of that one. Then we've got a new one, which is one that I got as a little kind of another cheapy haul, which I haven't filmed yet. But so this is another Bruno Banani. This is called Dangerous Woman. You can see the box is in a bit of a state, which is probably why it was quite cheap. Dangerous Woman. I mean, there's nothing dangerous about this scent other than the fact you might kill someone with how sweet it is. The notes aren't very dangerous. Okay, I'm just going to give this a quick spray. Okay. Now, the bottle. Silly bottles, but this one at least is more sturdy than some of the other Bruno Banani ones. This is the bottle. You can see. It's got a kind of slightly corally red colour at the bottom. This one. Sometimes they have the same bottles for totally different scents, and then it gets a bit confusing as to what's what. Okay. I was totally in love with this when I first smelt it, but the dry down gets a little bit difficult for me. So top notes here are blackcurrant, and that's very strong when you first spray it, but very syrupy. Middle notes, coconut milk and floral notes. Base notes are heliotrope and vanilla absolute. So you first spray it, you get a ton of juicy, delicious sweet blackcurrant. Really lovely. Then you start to get a real coconut milky vibe come in. And then the more it dries down, the more you start to get that vanilla. And the vanilla is so sweet and so strong. It's almost, if you can imagine how sweet this is, it's almost like a vanilla infused condensed milk. You know, the really, really sweet, syrupy, thick milk that, like a confectioner's milk that you cook with, that you make like all kinds of stuff with. Yeah, it's like crazy sweet, and the longer you have it on, the sweeter it gets. So I was totally in love with this when I first tried it. I thought it was lovely, and then when I was actually wearing it, I was like, okay, this is surely a dead of winter scent. That's when I need to try this again, because I think it's pretty. It doesn't smell expensive or anything, but I think it's cute. It gets more powdery because of that heliotrope. I think by the time it's properly dried down, the coconut starts to disappear a little bit. But yeah, this is way too sweet for this time of year for me to try this, really. Now, in the comparisons, I've compared it to Ariana Grande Mod Vanilla, because I feel like the dry down of this kind of reminds me of that one. There is like a really, really strong vanilla in it. There's a little bit of fruitiness. There's some flowers, and there's like a creamy kind of coconutty vibe as well. And it also reminds me a little bit, and I'm not the only person who said this, of Salvatore Ferragamo's Signorina Rebelle, the one in the kind of pinky purpley bottle. I have a little sample of that Claire Smith very kindly sent me, and when I smelt that one, I was like, oh yeah, it kind of it does actually smell a little bit like this. But Rebelle is probably a little bit nicer. It smells a little bit more expensive, but it's kind of less condensed milky. It's not quite as sweet. That one has like ice cream and fruits and those kind of notes, but I think there's coconut in that as well. So it does have a definite noticeable similarity, but this one is intensely sweet. And it's also much stronger than the last Bruno Banani that I got. The one that's called, is it called Pure Woman? I can't remember. No, it's not called Pure Woman. It's one of the womans. They're all called something woman. But anyway, so that's that one. That's going to have to go away until I'm ready to, until I'm ready to try it again. I'm wearing this one today. I just fancied it, you know. So this, if I can get the lid back on, is, let me just pull this one to one side so I can show you the beauty of Amethyst by Lalique. I just kind of was in the mood. I just wanted some kind of delicious berry, and I had a sniff of this one. I thought, I'm just going to wear this, I haven't worn it for a while. Now, I have to say, I think that this is one that I prefer in colder weather. I absolutely got obsessed and I loved it in the cold weather. But it's sharper, I think, the warmer the weather is. So I would say that this one is just a tiny tad bit sharp when it's, I might just, so you're not getting entirely blinded. But weirdly, I could really smell the blueberry today. Like, that's one of the notes that came through quite strongly today. So the warmer the weather, the more I could kind of differentiate between the different berries in this. But it's also definitely sharper, and it's still really musky, but the berries I think are much stronger. So that's interesting. The top notes here are blackcurrant, blackberry, blueberry, mulberry, and big strawberry. Middle notes are pepper, peony, rose, ylang. Base notes musk, woody notes, and bourbon vanilla. Now, I don't get any vanilla in this. I barely get any sweetness, even in winter. I definitely don't get any sweetness at this time of the year. Outside of the fact that it's got a slightly sweet musk, and obviously the florals have a slight sweetness, and all of the fruits will have a tiny bit of kind of fruit sugar sweetness. But apart from that, you know, it's like a tiny hint of fructose, a tiny hint of like sweet floral, and that is it for the sweetness. So if you don't like sharp perfumes, you are not going to like this. It's not a juicy kind of syrupy berry at all. It's a fresh, crisp, cold, very kind of acidic and tart basket of berries. If you know, I mean, blueberries are quite a good example, because blueberries, without any kind of sugar, they do have a sweetness, but there's definitely an acidity there, and they're really kind of watery. They don't get that strong blueberry flavour until you kind of cook them down, right? So this is very much fresh blueberries, fresh blackcurrants, fresh blackberries, fresh mulberries. And when it says big strawberry, I'm just thinking to myself, okay, well, maybe that is like the strawberries that I always describe as being huge and looking really red and looking like they're going to be delicious, and you bite into them and they barely taste of strawberry. You know, they're very crunchy. It's the kind of stuff I'd put in like a nice Italian salad, you know, with a bit of cheese, because you get that slight sweetness. It's kind of, maybe that's how to describe it. If you were going to if you put fruit into salads, it's providing a sweetness and an acidity. But if you put those into a pudding, you'd have to put a ton of sugar with it. Does that make sense? You also get in this all the leaves, all the branches. It smells like a little forest full of berries. It's beautiful, but yeah, I think this is gonna, and as the colour would suggest, this is gonna go back into my autumn winters, and I'm gonna save it for that, because I think the sharpness doesn't work quite as well at this time of year. But it is beautiful, just so beautiful. Stop going on about that one. Then we have, I wore this one to work, Stash Privé by Sarah Jessica Parker. It's a great little perfume, a really, really, really good alternative, to be honest, to what's it called? Chanel Chanso Tendre or Marc Jacobs Daisy. It has exactly that kind of scent to it. Because of the shape and the shininess, it never wants to really show it, but it's lovely. It's got this beautiful pink juice, really cute pink lid. And again, in the warmer weather, this is fresher. You get way more of that, of the kind of sharp fruits in the top when it's a little bit warmer than you would if you were wearing this in colder weather. So, top notes: quince, grapefruit and pink pepper. Middle notes are sage, Tunisian orange blossom. The base notes are birch, musk and Haitian vetiver. So I'd say, again, you do get the quince and the grapefruit, definitely. I think I can smell pink pepper when you first spray it, but that kind of chills out. And I am fussy. I don't like pink pepper. I think it often ruins a perfume. You definitely get the sage and orange blossom. You can tell it's like a white wood. It's like a light white wood. And then, yeah, it just really smells. It's very musky. It's got like a body lotion kind of smell when this dries down. As soon as that citrus kind of calms, it starts to smell like a body lotion or like a kind of bar soapy type smell. And it honestly, it's just so similar to that kind of really recognisable Chanso Tendre and Daisy kind of profile. But you can get this in the UK again for like, you can get this little 30ml bottle, you can get them for about £6. So an absolute steal. Lovely little perfume. Always really good for work, to be honest. And then I had a weird day. This was Monday, actually. I remember it well. I had a day on Monday where I sniffed loads of perfumes that I had thought I might wear. It was quite cold weather. It was right at the end of my cycle, so I'm assuming this is a hormonal thing. I sniffed some perfumes and every single one of them smelt so incredibly synthetic to me. I really just didn't want to wear any of them. I sprayed them in the air. They made me feel sick. I just didn't like the smell of a lot of my perfumes on Monday. So I reached for a Lush perfume because Lush perfumes are made with much more natural ingredients. They're handmade, using essential oils and all that kind of stuff. There's not really much going on. Even if I don't like the smell of a Lush perfume, it won't normally be because it smells horrifically synthetic. Some of the body sprays smell quite synthetic, but the actual perfumes really don't. So this is one that I bought when I was on my holiday. I've been thinking about it for ages, and the reason I didn't get it is because I have a perfume that it kind of reminds me of in a way. But I tried it when I was on, let me just say what it is, Shade. So I sprayed this on me when I was at Paddington Station because they've got a great Lush there that has actually a lot of their perfumes, not just the standard ones. The Paddington shop also has some of the Black Label stuff. So I got Shade and... well, I didn't get it. I tried it and then I sprayed it on my skin and then I went onto the train to go back to my family's place. I actually sprayed loads of stuff on me that day. That's what I mean. I've been making loads of notes ready to do a big video. But I sprayed Shade on, and as with all of the Lush proper perfumes, maybe outside of, I mean, there's a couple of the older ones, the sweet, really, really sweet ones where they don't massively change. But most perfumes from Lush, when you first spray them, they smell like essential oils, they smell green, they smell often grassy, often kind of a bit like, whoa, okay, whoa, don't think I want to smell like that. Then they dry down. You have to put them on your skin. You will never know what a perfume from Lush smells like if you put it on card. You need to put it on your skin. They develop in a completely different way and they can be really surprising. Shade is one of those. When you first spray it, you're like, what the hell is this? Why would I want to smell like that? And then it dries down and you're like, oh my God, what the hell is this? I want to smell like this all the time. So the notes they list is like sandalwood and olibanum, and this is way more than that. So they've definitely got, looking at the ingredients again, you've got citruses, you've got florals, you've got lavender, there's like tonka. So what I get here, when it dries down, I definitely get kind of the greenness, classic Lush style. It dries down. The florals here, they sort of remind me a bit of honeysuckle, which I think is one of the big things about it reminding me of Covert by Sarah Jessica Parker. So I get citrus, I get the lavender, the sandalwood is so creamy and beautiful. It's like a beautiful skin scent. The tonka just sweetens it, and then the olibanum just makes it smell like there's like just this tiny bit of smouldering incense, you know. There's just this tiny smoky vibe to it, but it's not overpowering at all. I loved wearing this. I really think it's beautiful. So the Sarah Jessica Parker Covert perfume is lemon, lavender, it's got sandalwood, it's got honeysuckle, and then it has chocolate. So this shade one is almost easier to wear because instead of chocolate it has incense. So it's absolutely gorgeous, totally beautiful. I love it. I highly recommend it. I think it's Lush. Now I have to get moving because I think I can hear a grocery delivery outside. When I was filming my last one, I said I'd say what I was wearing, and I was wearing this Ariana Grande Thank You Next. So this is probably the only Ariana Grande that I actually want a bottle of. I think I've smelt pretty much all of them that are available now, and it's the only one that I particularly like. It definitely has a little bit of that tarry smell in it, that tar kind of synthetic wood smell, but that doesn't last for very long, and then it dries down and I get what it's supposed to be. So the top notes are raspberry and pear, middle notes are coconut and pink rose, base notes are macarons and musk, and I get all of those notes. It's super pretty. It smells like a lot of her other perfumes in quite a few ways, but I think this is the nicest one for me personally. This is the one I get on with the best. Now, weirdly, that's what I'm saying. I was like really sensitive this week. I don't know why. I'm clearly very sensitive to quite synthetic things. So I got the pickle thing. I got the pickle juice when I first sprayed it, and I was like, I haven't smelt that in this before. I've only heard people talk about it. Randomly, just got the pickle juice smell. Happily, didn't last. I can live with that in the same way I can live with the weird smoky, green, grassy, weird smell of most of the Lush perfumes when I first spray them. It was fine when it dried down, totally pretty. It's mainly macarons with smells like a pear and raspberry jam. And then there's a slight rose and coconut, but there's not a huge amount else going on. At some point I will get a little 30ml bottle of this. I totally will. I think it's really pretty. I think it's quite a comforting one as well. So it's like a nice around the house one. Let's see. Yes. So I went to Superdrug. So the last thing to talk about is I managed to try Ariana Grande Mod Blush. Now, absolute disaster for me. The reason it was a massive disaster, apart from the fact there's ambroxan in it, is that it had the tar-like synthetic wood smell, but massively amped up. Every single one of her perfumes I've ever smelt has that smell in it, but to very different degrees. So I couldn't deal with it in REM. So that I'm going to give that one to my sister because she wears Cloud, and she's got what's it called? Sweet Like Candy as well. So she likes Ari perfumes. I'll give them to her. God is a Woman. I really like elements of that, but that has a little bit of that tar smell in it, which means I would never want to get a full bottle of it. And in every other one of her perfumes, there is that weird tar smell somewhere in there. In Mod Blush, it is so dominant to me, I absolutely had to scrub it off. But if I couldn't smell that smell, I would have thought it was super pretty. However, it absolutely smells like you've just sprayed or decanted a little bit of every single one of her other perfumes into a big bottle and shaken it, and that's what that perfume is. It doesn't smell in any way original. It's even, to me, even though it doesn't list vanilla, it's got a little bit of mod vanilla in there as well. So the notes are top notes of passion fruit, raspberry, pink pepper and bergamot, middle notes rose, pear and magnolia, base notes musk, dreamwood, ambroxan and sandalwood. Ambroxan makes this so sharp on me. I mean, it's got passion fruit and raspberry and bergamot in the top, so it's already quite sharp, but it's incredibly sweet at the same time. Sherbety, I think you'd describe it, but ambroxan does this thing on my skin where it takes any perfume and just makes it even sharper than it normally would be. It just doesn't work for me. But I'm interested in the dreamwood note because I wonder whether dreamwood might be the kind of chemical wood, that bothers me. I mean, that would be really interesting if I've actually got a name for what I don't like. But anyway, it smells when you first spray it a little bit like Cloud. It's got a little bit of the raspberry from this one. It's got a little bit of the pear from God is a Woman. It's got, you know, it's got the muskiness, it's got the woodiness, it's got the fruitiness, it's got the sweetness. It's definitely got its biggest comparisons are Ari and Sweet Like Candy, both of which I think smell quite similar anyway in the first place. So yeah, like I said, this, if you're a collector, then I understand you'd want it. If you don't have any other Ariana Grande perfumes because you've smelt them all and nothing is like your favourite, and you just want one to represent the kind of whole, and you're not upset by Dreamwood or Ambroxan, Mod Blush is actually a kind of perfect one because it's not as sickly sweet as some of her other ones, but it still is super sweet. It's as fruity, it's as kind of creamy, it's as fluffy, it's as girly, it's all of the things. It's like an absolute I did a review on Fragrantica and I basically was like, this is like a best of Ariana Grande perfumes. That's what Mod Blush smells like to me. You know, it's like it's taken a hit from each of her other perfumes and put them all together, and this is what it is. So yeah, I mean, it's not for me. I still think the bottles are quite cute, even though everyone else hates them. So that was my week. I hope you could understand what I was saying when I'm talking at speed. It's just that I'm pretty sure I can hear my grocery delivery literally coming to the door now. So I will see you guys next week, and I hope you've had a lovely fragrant week. Tell me what you've been wearing, and thanks again so much for watching my videos, and thank you to all my new subscribers. Hopefully I'll get to 1,000 at some point, and then the adverts that they make you watch might actually make me some money. Bye guys, there's my doorbell.